watching Live Up to Freedom. I'm filling in today. I'm Mike Lauber, and there's no need to adjust your screen. Annie Cyrus is out today. Don't worry, she's not sick. It's nothing like that. There's no problems. But today is her American birthday, her rebirth day. She's been in the US for 20 years now. And if you could, please help her celebrate by going to liveuptofreedom.com. On there, you'll see a link to the fundraiser for Brandon House's Worldview Week and Foundation. Let's make sure she hits that goal. Please go there, check it out. She'll appreciate it. It's a great way to help her celebrate, and it's a great cause. Now, today, we're joined by one of my favorite guests, Professor Jason Hill from DePaul University. Good, Jason, go ahead and introduce yourself for us real quick.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me. So I'm Jason Hill. I'm a professor at DePaul University, where I've taught for 22 years. I'm originally from Jamaica. I came here, well, 35 years ago to pursue my dream of becoming a writer and a philosopher. And I'm a great patriot of this republic. Love this country passionately. Have been fighting for the foundational values of America. That's what I've devoted my life to doing. And I've written 5 books. The latest, What Do White Americans Owe Black People? And the book before that, which is my love letter to America. We Have Overcome, an immigrant's letter to the American people, telling what is so exceptional about this great republic of ours and why the American people are such, in my view, an exceptional set of individuals.
Yeah, and your last book is fantastic. I understand you have another one coming out here soon, too.
I have one coming out next year called Man Haters. The left's vicious campaign to emasculate men and boys. So that should be out sometime next year. I'm working on it right now. Yes.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that because one of the subjects that you're an expert on is this CRT and infiltration of the colleges, and I understand that's also kind of gotten you in some hot water, so to speak, some legal issues with DePaul. Did you want to discuss that at all?
Well, I am a great defender of Israel, and I wrote an article defending Israel's right to annex Judea and Samaria, and it caused a great deal of outrage, and I was censured illegally by my university. And I have a harassment and hostile workplace lawsuit against my university. In fact, one of my colleagues there, just front page is going to bring out an article on it. A woman by the name of Ginger Hoffman sent an email around saying that I come from a shithole country, which is really contributing to, creating a hostile work environment for me. But this is part of the critical race theory movement that I've written about extensively that has brought about a great deal of resentment on the part of radical left-wing professors in America, because what I do in my work on critical race theory is to really show that it's a movement meant to rebrand this country. And critical race theory, which produces cancel culture, is not just about canceling individual. It's really about canceling America and rebranding America, right?
Yeah.
It's about defamation of America. It's about committing libel against this great republic. I mean, it has destroyed lives. But what I do in my writing is to show that cancel culture is really about canceling the United States of America.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
people don't like to hear that.
No. Well, and it's interesting too that woman would say that about you, and I'm going to assume, were there any ever repercussions for her about that?
No, she sent this email to about, I would say, scores and scores of people, which the email was procured by my lawyer. And no, there were no repercussions. Of course not.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. I mean, and again, like, you're standing up for people for equal treatment and for people that are being canceled for just speaking their views. And colleges are supposed to be bastions of free speech where different ideas are tried and discussed. And that's what makes us better going forward, that all these things are out there and we can sift through them and promote the best. But that's not what the environment is anymore.
No, it's not. It's become quite toxic. I mean, we have to realize that the universities are the transmission belt of ideas and the purveyors of these pernicious, nefarious ideas, and they trickle down through K through 12. I mean, our educators are the ones who train the K through 12 teachers, And or unfortunately, Mike, our universities are no longer learning centers. I've talked about this. They're bastions, they're indoctrination centers that are Marxist leftists with a particular purpose, not just of spreading hatred of America, of capitalism, of individualism, but really of introducing, I think we should take Alexander Cortez quite seriously, of introducing socialism into this country through its spread of ideas that sound quite wonderful, like equity, which is
Yeah.
not the same thing as equality. But it's all about rebranding America and producing individuals who will go into corporations, as my students like to tell me, that their goal is these woke supremacists is to go
Yes.
into corporations and to cancel them. And we see this like in Coca-Cola, that has this notion of being less white. Well, what does that mean? It means being less punctual. It means being less excellent. It means being less sure of oneself. Now, these are all universal values that, in the name of wokeness, Coca-Cola has decided are white values. This is the kind of nonsense that's spawned by CRT and woke supremacists.
Yeah, and just
So,
I think planting that whole idea of inferiority, that the color of your skin or something like that determines your value and your ability, is extremely dangerous. This, they call it the soft bigotry of low expectations. That if you plant the seed in someone's head that they can't succeed or that they are an oppressor, and then that's how they're going through life, they're never going to accomplish what they're really capable of.
well, this is what the left really is really good at doing. And I'm involved in a project. I just finished editing a study guide, which is going to be disseminated among 300 universities, where we tell the story of Black excellence and Black entrepreneurship and how Blacks survived after slavery and during Jim Crow and the things that you don't find in the history book. But the far left is really, really good at expropriating the agency of Black people and crippling their capabilities to make something remarkable of their lives by telling them that our society is systemically racist, our institutions are suffused with racist mores and policies, and that if you're Black, the odds are not only stacked against you, you are paralyzed for life, and that we constitute a sort of managerial class that can take care of you and that can solve your problems. And individuals such as myself who reject this kind of victimology and who reject the sort of um, so-called help that the far left offers, we're resented because we find that we have agency and that we
Yeah.
live in a society that is not systemically racist anymore, and we want no part of the grievance, a complex industry.
Yeah, well, you're the most dangerous of all because you're someone that's preaching the truth that that looks like them, that fits the. You are a black man, that you're an immigrant that came here. That supposedly all these things should be stacked against you, but you're very successful on your own, and you prove the lie. So that's, I mean, that's why they see you as such a danger. And other people, when they see that, they'll make that same connection and realize that what they're being told, that they can't succeed, that this is all a lie.
It's a lie. And the other thing, Mike, is that when you've staked your entire existence on relieving the suffering of other people, and you've told them that because of your color of your skin, you're bound, your fate is one of suffering,
Yeah,
and you reject that narrative, what you've done is you've taken away the purpose and meaning of that person's existence. So if I need to see you suffer in order to make sense of my life, it means that I've statistically pinned the meaning of my life on your suffering, which means indefinitely you need to keep on suffering. And so when
yes,
some people such as myself say, well, suffering is not an ineradicable part of my existence, and I don't have a victim story to tell you, I basically squash the meaning and purpose of your existence. And that's going to be met with a lot of resistance and hatred and resentment on the part of the far left.
exactly. Because their whole method of control relies on you and everyone else being dependent on them, that at least believing that you need them to get ahead. We're going to take a break real quick here from our first sponsor, Extractgevity. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Extractgevity is an all-natural energy and health drink developed by Brannon House several years ago with a team of experts. Extractgevity supports a healthy heart, strong immunity, skin, hair and nails, cognitive health, and cellular health. This all-natural energy drink is loaded with antioxidants, but don't take our word for it. Do your own research to find the benefits of red wine extract, bilberry extract, grapeseed extract, pine bark extract, and vitamin C. Brandon credits Extractgevity in part for his abundance of energy and good health. Order your 30-day supply now at mystore.com. Be sure to use the promo code on the screen for a generous discount. Extractgevity, your all-natural source for energy and good health. Find it at mystore.com.
Welcome back. You're watching Live Up to Freedoms. Thank you for staying with us. And please check out our sponsor, Extractgevity. They're available on mystore.com. And please use code AC21 when you check out to help support this program, Mike Lindell, and Lindell TV. So, Jason, earlier I had sent an article to you that I really wanted to get your response. It's a story that Annie's been following very closely. This Islamic Center in Houston and the My Commander program that we've kind of seen roll out to U.S. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I've been following it, and it's not surprising because it's something that I've written about extensively on the Islamicization of this country and of Europe in general, and the extent to which I wrote an article calling attention to the fact of many companies in this country becoming really, really compliant with Sharia law in order to attract Muslim wealth. And there have been certain rulings in the courts in this country, including a court in Kansas, that have sided with husbands against their wives, taking Sharia law as part of religious freedom and religious expression. And I've also written about another. I'm going to make a connection between these two. This is an effort to sort of really rebrand America into multiple concurrent societies, a parallel society. Look, this is not something new. We have the same thing going on in California, in ethnic studies department. California just passed a sort of ethnic studies curriculum program in which this just gentleman by the name of Tulkader Katuan, who's the original co-chair of the ethnic studies model curriculum, had K through 12 students standing up and pledging allegiance to Aztec gods, crying the Christian God on the. I'm looking at the notes right now with sort of incredulity on the premise that the United States, I'm going to read it because it's straight from its text because it's so incredulous, on the premise that the United States is a white supremacist, patriarchal, misogynistic, anthropocentric, land-grabbing, genocidal state that committed theocide against indigenous tribes. And that the evil settlers established a regime of coloniality, dehumanization, and genocide, and total erasure of holistic indigeneity and humanity. And so you have these kids that are taught that not only are we living on stolen land, but that we need to deface and erase the Christian God, which is a white supremacist God, and pay homage to the Aztec gods. So I see a parallel between what's going on in the case that you just mentioned and these movements. It is really a movement to commit deracination in the literal sense of erasing the foundational premises on which this country was built, to take away the identity on which most Americans stake their identities, in order, again, to rebrand this country, to remake it into something really, really different. When you strip people of their foundational identities and you rob them of their values, their fundamental values, you make them ripe for, and this is not a conspiracy theory that I'm advocating here, but you make them ripe for a radical takeover.
Yeah, because if there's no social cohesion, nothing holding us together, then we don't have that common bond. And whether you're breaking it to tell people they need to go back to their Aztec roots and worship the Aztec gods, ignore these racist white men that founded this country, that the whole country is founded on evil, or whether you're bringing over people and indoctrinating them into Islam, where their children are pledging themselves, pledging themselves to be martyrs for the cause and pledging their allegiance to the supreme leader of Iran. Either way, it's tearing apart the fabric of America, where we don't have that common bond to each other, and instead our loyalties are elsewhere.
That's right. It's a form of tribalism and it's a form of factionalism. And I must say that part of this is being done in the name of multiculturalism. And the vehicle of multiculturalism, which most people think is a good thing, multiculturalism is not. We see the nefarious nature of multiculturalism here. It is to bring about this kind of factionalism among different groups, to break up, as you called it, the social cohesion, the sense of civic trust. Yeah. That despite our differences in ethnicity, despite our differences in in religious affiliation, that we still have a common public identity as Americans, and that common public identity, which is centered around the core values of America's founding principles, actually supersede or other loyalties. That is, if we're caught in a clash between, let's say, or it's a very cosmopolitan idea, not a globalist idea, but if we're caught in conflicting loyalties between, let's say, that's why we pledge allegiance to this country. If we're caught in conflicting loyalties between an ethnic identity or racial identity and our commitment to defending America.
Yeah.
Those
sorry. I just because regardless of somebody's like religious or ethnic background or anything else, the fact that we do have respect the rule of law and have that Judeo-Christian founding, that we all understand the morals and values that the country was founded on, like that's what keeps us together. But if you're breaking that, where people somehow now think that's evil or against their own personal interest, or they're so focused on their group interest, we can't have a nation. We don't have common language, borders, and culture.
That's right. That's right. And so this is just one of many movements that is part of a larger movement to rebrand and destabilize and break the social cohesion, as you said quite eloquently, of this country. When people do not have the historical record to fall back on, when they do not have a set of codified traditional values to fall back on, when all they have are piecemeal values that are spawned through identity politics, through multiculturalism, then, without sounding again like a conspiracy theorist, they're ripe for brainwashing. They're ripe for, which is what is going on in our schools, they're ripe for becoming very, very anti-American if they equate Americanism with bigotry, with ineradicable racism, with something like the fact that a student told me on a talk I gave on a campus 2 years ago, that morality, she said, morality and ethics are not even possible in America because America is a founding site for genocide. So she said, location, location, location. You cannot have, spatially speaking, something like ethics or morality taking place on a genocidal site, which the United States of America is.
Yeah.
And I just,
sorry, we got to take a break real quick, hear from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my new product, My Coffee. I get products all the time from entrepreneurs for my new platform, mystore.com. And when I tried My Coffee for the first time, I was blown away. It is the best coffee I've ever had in my life. I spent the last 4 months doing my due diligence, and this family-owned business micromanages every step from the fields to the cup to ensure the best quality coffee you're ever going to have. It starts with the beans that are grown in Honduras. Honduras's volcanic soil and humid climate make the perfect growing conditions for coffee plants, which produce the best beans ever. Then each batch is tested for its aroma, taste, and other aspects to meet the highest standards in the coffee industry. And after that, it goes into production, which is all done right here in the USA. It's like you're getting that small batch specialty coffee, but delivered right to your front door. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code and you'll get your very own My Coffee for 25% off. You guys all know that I've traveled the country for the past year and a half. I've stayed in hundreds of hotels. I've tried every coffee out there. Well, some of the coffees have that terrible aftertaste, some that leave me jittery, or I get an upset stomach. Well, My Coffee is different. It's the richest, smoothest, best coffee I've ever had. My coffee comes in a variety of flavors. You get them ground or whole bean, plus it's certified organic and non-GMO. I guarantee it'll be the best coffee you've ever had. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you'll get my coffee for 25% off. And I'm going to give you deep discounts on all my store products. That's mystore.com. It's my new platform for USA entrepreneurs. Please order now.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Live Up to Freedom. Please check out my coffee at mystore.com and please use code AC21. Jason, I'm sorry I kind of cut you off a little bit there. I wondered if you wanted to finish your thought real quick, and then I'd kind of like to talk about some solutions to some of these things that people can do, especially on the college campus.
No, let's go to solutions. I pretty much had finished what I really wanted to say. Yeah.
So what the way I see it is this is kind of a multi-layered problem anyway, especially on college campuses. So the most effective thing is always going to be to go after the money and the purse strings if you want an organization to change how it functions. Are there anything in particular that like parents of college students should be doing to help influence this?
Well, I am wonderfully optimistic in one respect, Mike, in the sense that parents are becoming much more involved in their children's education. This is something that used to annoy me at first because I thought 25 years ago when I was a college professor, I thought any sort of intrusion on the part of parents was a little bit heavy-handed because you need to, you hand your child over to the institution in good faith. Now I see how nefarious the institutions, higher education and K through 12, have both become. And I'm delighted that parents are taking a more vested interest in their children, the content of education, and not just being great grubbers. Why is this? This is because when their children are being indoctrinated and they come home and they say things like, "Mommy, don't gender me because at school I'm told that I can be a girl or I'm told that I can be a boy." When their values that they socialize their children with are radically contested by the institutions, and the children come home and the parents see that there is a direct neutralization and annihilation of the values that they're socializing their children with, that come into contest with the educational system, these parents are enraged. And so I think what we can do as part of the solution is to speak directly to parents, to let parents know, to give them moral support, that yes, those of you who can and want to homeschool your children, you should. We should be advocating for school vouchers, more charter schools, the abolition of taxes on that part of parents' income that they would use to send their children to private schools, to parochial schools, to charter schools, wherever. We should be telling alumni donors, first of all, again, either big corporations or small donors who hand over their funds in good faith, that there should be conditionals affixed to the money that you're giving to universities.
Agreed.
That is, if in the name of intellectual diversity, and there is no such thing as intellectual diversity in the social sciences and the humanities in this country, they're all radical left-wing Marxists. There are very, very few conservatives, extremely few conservatives, that I want my dollars allocated in the following way, that I want certain conservative faculty hired. I want a diversity of viewpoints. So more conditionals affixed to the fiscal dollar, fiscally speaking. And also, more importantly, is, I've spoken about this before, the federal government needs to just defund these universities that are fostering the professoriate that is propagating propaganda and hatred of America and brainwashing these students. There's no reason why taxpayers should be funding their own destroyers. There's no reason why ordinary Americans should be funding, especially small businesses should be funding institutions that are spreading vitriol and hatred of this great nation of ours.
Yeah, especially the ones that are directly sowing division or telling this fictitious history, what is the 1619 project, or some of these other ones that are kind of infiltrating our schools now, or other programs. I really do think that was like the one good thing to come out of COVID was parents got an eyes-on view of what their kids were learning when they were all forced to, do remote sessions from home. That when they saw some of this stuff coming across, especially with younger students, it really opened their eyes to what the broader picture is, and that these kids are being indoctrinated to hate their nation and have these other just twisted ideas of basic fundamentals and things that we accepted as reality until just a few years ago.
Yes, yes. One other thing too is that parents, to the extent that they realize, should really investigate the role of the teachers' unions. And I'm not saying that every teacher who's a member of the teachers' union is a nefarious miscreant,
Yeah.
but the unions themselves really do not have the welfare of these children at heart. They have their own self-interest, which is often inimical to the self-interest of these kids, and to really question, I would say, breaking up these teachers' unions.
Yes.
Because they really play quite a nefarious role in the propagandizing of these children, including the propagation of critical race theory, which people say is not taught in K through 12. It's not true. They just call it something else. But
Yeah.
the basic ideas, the basic fundamental principles of critical race theory are permeating K through 12 education. Like, it's like fighting lice in a vacuum. It's everywhere and nowhere in particular.
It's really praxis is what it is. It's included in other lessons where you get the, math problem used to be about what time would two trains intersect at different speeds. And now it's somehow, the example I saw was just terrible, but it was two people, one's white, one's black, and you're looking at their arrest records and why is this guy arrested more? Where it has nothing to do with the problem, but it plants that seed, that idea that somehow there's discrimination in society, but it's built into a math class or something else where, again, it's not what we're discussing, but the idea is just to insert it into everything so it becomes part of their daily education, that it's ground into them over time. We're coming up here towards the end here, Jason. Where can our guests find you? And was there anything else that you wanted to mention here before we go?
Just, I want to just impress upon our listeners to never give up on America. It's a great country, and to never apologize for American exceptionalism. We're still an exceptional nation, comparatively speaking, when you look at the rest of countries out there. To keep fighting for this great republic of ours, and to arm your children with a sense of national pride. Your listeners can find me on my Facebook page at Dr. Jason D. Hill. My Twitter handle is Jason D. Hill 6. And of course, you can buy my books, which I hope you do, on Amazon at a discounted price. And I have a new show coming up called The Jason Hill Show, which will be aired on the David Horowitz Freedom Center, and it'll be on Spotify and iTunes. That's going to start up in September, so I look forward to people joining in that show. More details will be forthcoming later on that one.
Oh yeah, I'll be looking forward to that too. Like I said, I'm a big fan of your books. I've only read the one. I'm going to pick up more though, because you're very insightful, and it's written in a way where even someone that's unfamiliar with some of what you're talking about can understand. You sort of start off with things more simplified and then get to the more complex, where you build up the argument. That's kind of what I really appreciate with, especially with a subject like this, where there is a lot of nuance to understand.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, to our audience, I do want to say again, help Annie celebrate her American birthday. Please go to liveuptofreedom.com. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Well, hello everybody, it's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
You're watching Lindell TV.